Okay guys, so now we're on page 3 of your review. Number 1 at the top, complex fractions. So we're going to rewrite this as a regular division problem, the 6x minus 8 over 4 over x minus 3. So first we're going to go ahead and write 6x minus 8, and we're going to write that as divided by 4 over x minus 3. So what we need to do first is take our 4 over x minus 3 and make it to where it's one easy combined fraction so that we can flip it. So in order for us to combine like terms, we need to make these like terms. So the way we're going to do that is to find our common denominator. So 4 over x is going to stay the same. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times x over x, and that's going to give me 3x over x. And now it's a common fraction. It has common denominator. So that gives me 3x minus 4, and that's going to be over x. So my new problem is 6x minus 8 divided by 3x minus 4 over x. And remember, in the previous video, I reminded you that whenever we're dividing by fractions, we are multiplying by its reciprocal. So that means keep this one, change this to multiplication, and then flip the fraction. So that gives me 6x minus 8 times x over 3x minus 4. Now anything that's on top and on bottom can be eliminated. So what I need to do is go ahead and simplify 6x minus 8 to being 2 times 3x minus 4. And then I'm going to multiply that by x over 3x minus 4. So again, this cancels and this cancels. 2 times x is just 2x. All that work for a one-term answer. So now we're going to solve for x. We have x over x minus 2 plus 3x over x minus 4 is equal to 4x minus 12 over x squared minus 6x plus 8. I know that looks like a lot, but remember once we get our common denominators, we can get rid of the denominators completely. So if we multiply these two denominators together, we get this third denominator. So we don't have to worry. This is our common denominator. So we're just going to multiply this one by that, each of the numerators by the denominators. So x minus 4 times x plus 3x times x minus 2. And it's going to all be over x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 4x minus 12 over x squared minus 6x plus 8. And now we're going to simplify the top of the numerator of the first half of the equation. So x times x is x squared minus 4x. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. And that's going to be equal to 4x minus 12. And remember, anytime we have gotten our denominators the same, our denominators no longer matter. I don't need this denominator anymore. It's gone. I only care about the numerators to solve for x. The only thing I'm going to care about for the denominators is to realize that x cannot equal 2 or 4, because remember we can't divide by 0. So any answer we get where x equals 2 or x equals 4, those are extraneous results and we don't want them. We only care about the real results. So we have x squared plus 3x squared. That gives me 4x squared. And we have negative 6x minus negative 4x minus 6x. So that's going to be negative 10x. And that's going to be equal to 4x minus 12. Now this is a quadratic. We know that because it's got a squared. And whenever we solve a quadratic, we want to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to move the entire right-hand side over to the left-hand side by subtracting and adding. So I'm going to subtract 4x and add 12 to both sides. Minus 4x plus 12. And that's going to give me 4x squared minus 14x plus 12 equals 0. So now we need to solve. And notice we can't divide everything by a and get even numbers because 14 is not divisible by 4. So while this one would seem to be a good candidate for completing the square, it really isn't, because if we divide everything by 2, we end up with an odd b. We don't like odd b's. So let's just factor by grouping. So we're going to have 4 times 12, which is 48. And we're looking for a number that's going to subtract to give us 14. Well, add to 14 because they're both negative. All right, so we have 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and I think 16. Maybe I'm wrong. 16, 4 and 12, 6 and 8. And that's our final one, and we're going to use that one. 6 and 8 give us 14. So let's go ahead and rewrite in factored, so we can factor it, x squared. And I'm going to put the minus 8x, and then minus 6x plus 12 equals 0. I placed the 8x and the 6x where I did because 8 and 4 are divisible by 4, and 6 and 12 are both divisible by 12, or 6. So to me, that works out better. You can do it either way. It's not going to change anything. So we're going to group it. And our common factor here again is 4x. And that leaves us with x minus 2. And then we're going to take out minus 6. And that leaves us again with x minus 2. So our factors are 4x minus 6 and x minus 2. And remember, anytime we're solving, we're going to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. So I have 4x minus 6 equals 0. And then I have x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides, and we get x equals 2. And then over here, we're going to add 6 to both sides. 4x equals 6. Divide both sides by 4. And our x is going to be 3 over 2. So we come up with the answers x equals 3 over 2 and x equals 2. However, if you remember back here at the top, we said x cannot equal 2. So that means 2 is an extraneous solution, and the only one we care about is x equals 3 over 2. And that is our answer. I know that's a lot of work for a tiny little problem, but it works out. So the next one is Frank and Sarah are considering purchasing a rental property. The cost of the property is $230,000. Income produced from the property is $2,300 a month. To determine the average cost of owning the property, they use the function C of M is equal to negative $230,000, and it's negative because they have to pay that out of pocket, plus 2,300 M divided by M. How many months before Frank and Sarah see a profit? So we need to figure out when is C of M going to be more than 0? When is C of M greater than 0? Okay, so to do this, we're going to use our calculator. Okay, so in our calculator, we're going to go ahead and add a graph, and we are going to type in the equation. We can do it just as we see. We're going to change all the m's for x's. That's just going to be the easiest way to do that. So we're going to have in parentheses negative 230,000. Make sure you have enough zeros. Plus 2,300 x. And all of that is divided by x. And then we're going to hit enter to graph. And it's, a very graph that's way off the beaten path. We're going to hit Control T, and we're going to see when this negative number gets above 0. So we're looking, it's getting smaller. We're getting closer and closer. Closer, closer, closer. It's going to take a while because it's a very expensive property. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Scroll. It's going to take a long time. Keep scrolling. We're almost there. Here we go. So at 100 months is when we break even. We do not want the break even point. 100 months is when we break even. We won't make a profit until month 101. So what we're going to do is on our paper, we're going to put Frank and Sarah make a profit in month 101. And that's it.